So today I'll be going over the modern Assyrian dialects, and I'll do a comprehensive overview of all of the diacritics. The first ones I would like to talk about are what we call the Begad Kipat, which are Pete, Gamal, Dalat, Kaf, Pe, and Tau, and the diacritics that these take with regard to becoming spirants. So the normal sound of these, now I'll write them out this way. Their own line. You can give, I'll write it twice so I can show both of them. Beat. Or I'll write them going down. Okay, great. That's still in the picture. All right, make it here. Okay, so if the dot goes up on top here, this will make, we'll say, the hard sound. They're really what we call plosives. So B, G, D, K, P, and T. Now, most of the time you won't see this, and in modern Assyrian you'll hardly see it, but in Syriac, or in the older language, and older language isn't correct, but in what is called Syriac, which Assyrians call Lishana Atiqa, or Lishana Sopraya, scribal. I like that scribal, because they do use it for literary purposes. And there are a lot of classical literature. Actually, the most in Aramaic is in Syriac. So if you see it this way, it's the hard sound. But in Syriac, they would differentiate between the hard and soft sometimes to make it known. They would write that up there. And sometimes in modern Assyrian, you'll see it written that way. Now, if the dot goes on the bottom, by the way, this one is called Gushaya. So Gushaya is the Assyrian word for that dot. And it comes from Qishya, to be hard. And then Rukacha from Rakich, to be soft. Rukacha. In fact, this Rukacha word is pretty cool because this one is the hard sound, Ruk, Ka, and then this one's the soft sound, Cha, Rukacha. Now, if it takes the dot on the bottom, and for Pe, it doesn't take a dot, it takes the, it's like a semicircle, half circle. And then it's this way. So this will change its sound. This will become W or V, depending on where you live. This one will be R, so we'll put a G with H as usually. This one will be a the, we'll write DH. This one will be ch, we'll write kh. This is a f, which is ph. And this one is th, which is th. Now, I can give you examples of these, each one. So, like Baba is father. So these are both hard sounds. But Ktawa is book, or Ktava. Pardon the poor penmanship. Yuma, or let's just use a Gida, is a wall. And for this re is re would be like aralir, meaning in the middle. Well, D like dibba. This D, okay, so in English we have two THs. People don't really recognize this. So we have like the book, or thy is a good word, the Old English thy, because then you can compare this TH with thigh. So if you say thy, like thy kingdom come in the King James translation for the Lord's Prayer, thy, you hear a different it's voiced, and thigh is not voiced, like Theodore. So there are two THs in English. Now this one is this, thy. So like, now this one and this one, a lot of modern Assyrian dialects don't use it, but a lot do also. So if you want to say like either for hand, that's either. Either, but most Assyrians just say ida for hand. Now this one is the cap, like shlama luch, luch. And this one makes the same sound as chet. But in the older Aramaic, these had a different sound. This one would be equivalent to the Arabic, the he. But never mind that for now. Now PH, this one is a tricky one because we say like historically this is a PH, but in modern Assyrian it's what we call in English a diphthong. Like the word nuita, meaning oil, is really written nifta. Or like bnoshi, meaning by myself, is really written bnofshi. So bnofshi means by myself, but we say bnoshi. And what a diphthong is two vowels together. So this becomes a O, this becomes a U, nuita or nuta, some say, so long O. This becomes no O, sha, benosha. So it really never realizes as a PH, fe. Now the TH is also like matha, meaning village. But a lot of Assyrians just simply say mata, like the ones in Iran. Urmi, Salamas, and Mawana. Okay. Yeah, so these are the Begad Kipats. and their usages. I forgot to give you examples of this. Like, for example, kipa or kepa, meaning rock. And then this one is like punda is a candle. And the T like tama. Probably hear the kiddos playing in the other room. Tama. So yeah, so these are these. Now, the plural marker in modern Assyrian is 2 dots above a letter. It's usually around the end of a letter. Sometimes, now this is all arbitrary, so but I'll tell you like usually where it's at. Usually the next to last letter, usually on a short letter, usually on the last resh, or on a resh if the resh is in the word, and it would replace one of the dots of a resh. And let me talk about the dalat and resh. Dalat and resh, in fact, in older manuscripts was just both written the same way sometimes. So the dot up on top is the word resh, the letter resh. By the way, I'm writing this in a strong yellow, the old script. Now today, it's written like this for Eastern, and like this for Western. Okay? So it comes from the word risha, meaning head. And that's why the dot is up on top of the resh. Now for dalat, I think the word delta, in fact, comes from dalat, because it was the shape of the head of the river. But dalat is written, I should keep this consistent. Like this. Oh yeah, I already wrote it. I wrote it here, sorry about that. This one I should have written like this. And then given you one here. So dalat is written with a dot, and you can think of the word, I mean, it's good just to remember this is risha, that's why it's up on top, but this one you can use the English word down. For dalat is the diacritic is down. Now, so if you have a word like rere, which means saliva, rere, you see how there's 2 resh in there. So that first resh's dot is going to be have the dot join it, and that's the plural marker. Why is there a plural marker? Well, back in the day they didn't have all these diacritics when it first started. So if they wanted to write the word malka, they would write it like this, albeit they would write it in the older script like this, right? So if they didn't know if this was malka or malki, because you can't tell the difference when there's no diacritics. Now if you write malka like that, then you know it has it. But if you write it with like this, then you know it's lam. But back in the day, they would just put 2 dots, right? For example. Then you would know it's plural. So they throughout the writing, when they introduced these A's and E's, in the ptache and so on, they also went ahead and kept this too. It's redundant, but they still write that way. So you can write malki, for example. That's the way I spell it. So go ahead and keep that, bring that over, and write this. It just, that is not a sound of itself. Like this will alter the sound. I mean, in the old language, it would alter the sound, because then you would know to pronounce this word with the final E vowel for the plural. But right now it just signifies that this is plural. Yeah, I won't get into too much of the theory, but so that's the plural marker. And sorry, I think it got blurry a little bit. I looked back at the camera. Now, as I move on, you can take a look now, in case it got blurry. So are good to know, and then we have another thing good to know is Majlian. So Majlian are good to know. Now that you got that, let me tap my phone one time, make sure it's good. So we have in Gamal, remember, is a G, and Zen is a Z, and Khet is a KH, in Cap is, usually cap is written with the final cap with it to signify the cap, but just know that for these purposes, is a K, and Sheen is a SH, right? Okay, so these take what we call Majlian. For this one, this becomes a J. Okay, like Julla, meaning clothing. You probably for sure hear the kids now. So the Zen, now Zen and Sheen make the same sound. And both of them, some people write it with a squiggly line on top, and some write it on the bottom, okay? I think I prefer on the top, but anyway, it fluctuates. Usually if another accompanying diacritic, because these aren't so popular, and that's the reason why. Just get I'm speaking out loud, because these things are kind of dawning on me as I go through these. Okay, so if you want to say, for example, like what can I give you for a Zen? Okay, like objet, meaning also objet. Is written like that. Now, how do you know to use this or this if I'm telling you? It makes the je like the French Jean. Okay. So how do you know it's objet and not it's with a Zen and not with a Sheen? It's because certain Assyrians say objet. If you go historically, you'll find out why it's there like that. So it comes with history. So like Dijmin is historically from a Sheen. So this one is written like this. And Dijmin means enemy. Because it historically comes from here. Usually, this sound is usually borrowed. So you'd be able to tell what letter it came from the other language. And that's good enough for you to know. Now, this one, this is actually something, I think our company created this one when we're working on the Chaldean translation. So this one would be equals the Arabic ha, like mshi ha. So we needed a diacritic to be able to tell the difference. Now this is less sounding than the regular khat. I mean, logically you'd want the regular chet to have it, but it seems because this is less frequent that now this sound has become the one that you'd want to mark with something. So like Mshicha, meaning the Messiah, that's it's pronounced in certain dialects. The cap, as you've seen, cap plenty of, the cap then becomes che, right? So like my last name Lachin, which is it means like eagle or hawk in Azeri, Lachin, or like you want to say chai, chai stil. It's probably whatever. Okay, so chai. Now, okay, that's good to know that. There's some other historical things that are in Garshuni and like Palestinian Syriac, but I'm not going to go over those. And I think these are the most important ones, Diacritics. And then you have the Talqan. The Talqan are very important. I shouldn't hit that phone holder. So the Talqan are very, very important. So you have words like kha, meaning one. So in Aramaic, the old Aramaic, khaz, you would say khaz. And then you have like, you have a lot of words with Talqan. So I really should be able to give you a bunch. And oh yeah, I'm glad I didn't finish this video because there are actually more diacritics I need to tell you. Okay, so at means you at. It's written like that. And you have Mdita, which means city. And the nun is tliqta, so which silent. So these are important. And then the next one are what we call nuqza rawarwa, or we call them nuqza rawarwa, which these are also the plural is also the plural is also nuqza rawarwa, which means big dots, but there's nuqza rawarwa. So you have man, meaning who, min, meaning from, all, and you can tell, like, okay, and I'll tell you where these came from. You have ega, meaning then. You have la, which is the feminine. You have o, which is also feminine, suffix. And ila, which is feminine suffix. And you have talman. No, I'm not going to go through that. Okay, anyway, so these are the main ones. So where do these come from? Well, if they're written fully, like this would be o. But again, back in the day, in the strong yellow, it was this, right? So it was, this is a hair wall in the strong yellow Aramaic script. So you wouldn't know if this is the pronoun, and then in the Aramaic, or if this was it was this, the who pronoun, or how. So they would put a dot here, so you would know it's not this one, okay? With also this, min, man. If you see min and man, right, the meme and noon, and in modern it's written like that, how can you tell if this is min, man, if the vowels aren't there? Well, you can't. Well, really, man is this, and min is this. But before the vowels came, those diacritics came before the full vowels. So in manuscripts, they would write that to represent that, because this is a high sound, and then they would write that to represent that, min. But when vowels came, they kept this tradition, because they're like, why write two when I can write one? And you know, everybody likes to have the simple way and easier and so on. And same thing with this. If you say, for example, ktiwule, he wrote, or ktiwula, she wrote, and you write no vowels, right? How do you know if this is ktiwule or ktiwula? Well, then they created that. They're like, if we put that there, it's gonna be feminine, ktiwula. But if we don't write it, then we'll know it's ktiwule. Well, then after that, when they created the vowel points, now you don't need that, but they kept it. So they're like, let's just keep both for tradition purposes. And it's just orthography. It's no big deal. Okay, one more thing I forgot to mention, what you'll see. I mean, there are a lot of things. And I said in the beginning of the video I'd go over everything, but I don't think Garshuni and Palestinian Syriac is really gonna be needed for this video. So I hope this is yeah, okay, I think it's recording. So there's also what they call Hagyana and Marhatana. So you had certain words like Ma'arwa, which means west. And you had words like Madincha, which means east. And you have words like let me see what else you have. Let me give you some of the other ones. Garbia is good. Okay, Garbia means north. So if you notice all these words, it's a nice little blue. They have two vowels consecutive that have no vowel on it. So sometimes it would take what they call a schwa. And it depends if it takes a schwa or a knot, or a shewa, or a knot, a line would be written. So a line would be written underneath, and I don't know if it's on the first or second, because I see it both, like, you know, depending on what it is, and I haven't like gone through manuscripts to do a statistical study on when it's written, but anyway, so a line would be written, and now this is different than the talqana. So the talqana sort of slanted, but this one's more so flat. But again, that's different too in manuscripts, and you know, it's something developed. They didn't have an academy, and they would have people debating these things and so on through the years, and still to this day. So it's just good to go with what's logical. But I'm teaching you this because if you see this, then you'll know, you'll be like, okay, this is the marhatana and this is the hagyana, okay? And so this is ma'arwa, and you can hear it, ma'arwa, madincha. There's like a shewa on there, madincha, ma'arwa. This sort of sounds like a full vowel, but anyway, so there is a sound, and how you know is if the second letter, okay, it's gonna look like a Crayola here, but if the second letter, let's use a light green, maybe that'll contrast. well, didn't seem like the best choice, but if the second letter is one of these, Amle Nuhra, one of these letters, it'll take the vowel, the shewa. If it's not, then it'll be pronounced garbia. See, it's not garbia, it's garbia. There's no break, garbia. This is medincha, ma'arwa, and so on. And that is the Amle Nuhra. And that's it. Also, compound, usually to compound words, like if you want to say like borgela, meaning a soldier, for example, you may see this line, literally son of a strength, or son of the army. But borgela, or if you want to have a place like Bethel and you want to compound, compounding usually is written with that line. It's a modern for modern. And then you'll also see on words that start with vowels, like the name Jesus, Isho, with the Yod Chwasa, you'll see a baby Alap written up there, because they understood that no word can start with a vowel. That, in fact, does take a glottal stop, which is really incredible that they thought of such things. I mean, that we realize in this modern era. And yeah, so I think that covers the diacritics, I think. If I'm missing something. Yeah, I think we're good. So I hope this is useful, and I apologize it's not I didn't prepare beforehand or so that much, and just here and there notes that I've taken, you know. Yeah, and sorry if it was blurry sometimes in the video, but I'm sure it was good most of the time. That it will be clear. And if you have any questions, let me know. And I'd be glad to further help.